You know, I've read a lot of books, and there are not a lot of them that I would say are perfect. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I am Andrew. And today I am here to talk about amazing books. I'm talking about peerless books that are just phenomenally good. But before we get into this, please do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. You can check the description box down below for links to all my social media, including information about the Discord, Patreon, X, Instagram, what have you. It's all there for you to rifle through. Now, with that out of the way, I will preface this. I do have 10 books here. However, this is my second recording, and the initial video file was corrupted and lost, and the original recording had 30 books. So consider this probably an episode 1 of a potential 3, because there was multiple authors. I had 5 Stephen Kings in the initial video, and now I've only got 1. So, yeah, without any further ado, consider this episode 1 of books that I consider damn near flawless. I'm sure they're not perfect, and I'm sure they've got their flaws, but to me, I love these books, and I have zero complaints about them. All right, and starting up this list is probably the oldest entry on the entire list, and we have got J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. And it was released in the 30s. I got my first edition probably when I was 10 years old, so in 2000 or something like that, and I've probably read it 5, 8 times since then. I just did a reread last year, and it held up so incredibly well. This is before epic adult fantasy, YA, middle grade. This spans all the age gaps. It's perfect. It's a self-contained adventure in just that many pages. I love The Hobbit so much. And in my opinion, it is better than The Lord of the Rings. That includes Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King. Fight me on it. I don't care. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. But man, The Hobbit is just peerless in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I like The Lord of the Rings, but The Hobbit is where it's at for me. Bilbo, all the way. Then, of course, I read this one last year, and I included it. When I read it, I straight up said, this is probably my favorite political fantasy of all time. I'm, of course, talking about Daughter of the Empire by Chani Wirtz and Raymond E. Feist. This book is phenomenal. I don't know what to tell you about this other than what the young woman in this book has to go through. She's getting ready to forsake her nobility, her family name. She's about to join some religious order, and tragedy strikes her family, and she has to step into a role that she is not prepared for. And the decisions that she makes sets her on a journey that is going to change her world. Now, I love book 1. I consider book 1 darn near flawless. Book 2 kind of takes a little bit more of a turn into the romance. I wasn't prepared for that, but I need to come back and give it another shot because, frankly, as much as I love this, I know I'm going to love the rest of the series. I just need to have the correct set of expectations because it does take a little bit of a shift. I was unprepared for Kevin, but I will be on my next reread. But Daughter of the Empire is an amazing, amazing book. So incredibly good. You don't need to read the Rift War cycle to start that. It's like its own side little thing that takes place on Kelowon, and it's amazing, amazing. Some of the best coming of age I've ever read, I also read last month. And was it last month or was it this month? I started it last month, I finished it this month. That's Ray Bradbury's Dandelion Wine. This is a short story collection set in a small town of Greentown, Illinois, and we follow a young man as he goes on just adventures throughout the summer of 1928. Now, I say it's a collection of short stories because it doesn't just follow this young boy. We also follow people who are in the twilight days and or years of their lives, and they reflect on what makes life important. And then this young boy kind of discovers the magic of being alive and the magic of summer. And I just think that this is a story that as you reread it throughout your life, you will get new nuances and new information and take away new things from the story. It is just that good. Frankly, it's amazing. I absolutely love this story. I love it so much. Now, initially, in the initial video, I had both book 2 and book 3. Now, I've narrowed it down to just contain book 3. We're, of course, talking Demon in White by Christopher Rocchio. This is where Sun Eater we kind of get the grand scope of everything. Don't get me wrong. Book 2, we learn the consequences. Book 1 sets up Hadrian's origin story. But man, I loved Demon in White. The action, the politics, the intrigue, all of that was absolutely amazing and peerless in this entry. It's so incredibly good. I have nothing but great things to say about this novel. If you're not reading Sun Eater yet, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you need to read this series. It's so incredibly phenomenal. It's just, man, it is a special, special treat. And then, of course, I've got Royal Assassin. Of course, Realm of the Elderlings was going to make the list. This is where I truly fell in love with the series. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I think I read the first 2 books like within 2 to 3 months of each other. But Royal Assassin is where we just kind of come into Fitz's teenage years and where he's going to make the decisions that inform on the rest of his life. It is absolutely heartrending. It is absolutely just depressing. But at the same time, it's beautiful, and it kind of reveals a world that you want to explore and experience. And for that reason, Royal Assassin is just so incredibly good. It's a darn near flawless story. Then we have another entry, and this one, man, I feel good about this entry because this is Zephyr, Alabama. We've got Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. Now, I remember last Father's Day, I was in Florida visiting my grandfather for his 90th. And I did a short where I recommended this book. This book has one of the best father-son relationships that I've ever really read. It's just so dynamic. It's so healthy. But at the same time, there's a murder mystery. We've got some voodoo. We've got just 1960 shenanigans with the KKK and stuff like that, and how people during that time were dealing with it. And it's just wild what is all included in Boy's Life. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal book. I've actually just recently purchased a special edition from Suntup, and I cannot wait to have that in my hands because, frankly, this book is something that I look forward to rereading again and again as the years go on. I loved everything from just the initial incident to the day-to-day life, and then the end of the book is just so beautiful and bittersweet. I seem to like bittersweet. So, yeah, Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. Phenomenal read. We've then got Bloodsong. You knew Anthony Ryan was going to be mentioned. Yes, I said Anthony Ryan. Anthony, if you're watching this, please feel free to correct me. Stephen Brand, the narrator for the audiobooks, I don't know why I struggled to say audiobooks, says Anthony Ryan. I've been saying Anthony Ryan, which is the American version of it, so I'm going to start trying to say Anthony. But yes, this is book 1 in A Raven's Shadow. This is where we get introduced to Valen Alsorna. It's got Battle School. We've got Found Family. This is a bittersweet story. It's full of action. It's paced beautifully. Like, this book is peerless. Now, on the initial video, I also had Wolf's Call, which is book 1 of Raven's Blade. And that's also really good, but we'll talk about that one in a future iteration of this video. Right now, we're just going to focus on Bloodsong. But basically, once again, we see decisions being made that will reverberate throughout this world for books and books to come. I love Bloodsong so incredibly much. And a very, very interesting magic system. All right, you knew this was coming. I knew this. You knew this. Of course, you're free to disagree with me. But I stand that The Eye of the World is still a perfect read. I started reading it with an 11. I am biased. I know I am biased. But man, I love this book. I love it so much. I have read this probably, I think, 9 times. The Eye of the World just kicks off the wheel of time for me. I love the slow start. I love the 2 rivers and Emmons Field. I love getting introduced to this band of characters and what knits them together. I don't really have a lot of complaints other than like one itsy bitsy complaint 2/3 through the book where like a relationship comes out of nowhere. I'm like, where did that come from? Other than that though, I just love this book so much. I feel like I want to read it again. I mean, other than the fact that you got Nicolas Cage right here on the front cover, trust me, look it up. Here, let's see if I can't zoom in. Come on, will you focus? Here, focus on his face, not mine. That's Nicolas Cage. Come on, focus up. Anyway, that's Nicolas Cage. I swear. Hand to Jesus. That's Nicolas Cage. We've got 2 books left in this list. We've got The Iron Prince, Warformed Stormweaver #1 by Luke Chimalenko and Bryce O'Connor. And let me tell you what, like, I was dubious. Like, I saw the thickness of this book and I put it off reading for like 2 years. And then all of a sudden, I was just off to the races. I think I read this one in like 3.5 to 4 days. I couldn't put it down. It was action-packed, great coming-of-age battle school. I seem to like battle school. I like training montages. We get to watch Raiden Ward come into his own, do found family. I love found family, one of the best tropes in existence. But man, Iron Prince, I will continue to rave about this. I loved Fire and Song as well, and I need book 3. Now, Bryce, please give me book 3 of this as soon as possible. I know you're busy. You're a busy man. You're running Wraithmark Creative. I understand, but I have a need for more of this series. I have a burning desire to have that in my hands right now. It was just, oh, this is so incredibly good. Great kind of sci-fi. There's a little bit of a magic system. Great characters. I love the humor in this. Oh, this book is awesome. And then I told y'all on the initial recording I had like 4 or 5 Stephen Kings. Again, we'll explore that later on. The one that's making this list, though, is The Green Mile by Stephen King. This is a collection of like 6 novellas stitched together in Great Depression times on death row. We were following a guard. We've kind of got 2 timelines. This guard in the Great Depression is now in a retirement home, and he's reminiscing on his life. And we kind of go back to the 30s. And we follow these people on death row. We get to know them. We watch them as they pass. This book is just... it's one of King's best works. In fact, it's funny. I had a patron and friend of mine tell me, I don't like Stephen King, Andrew. And I was like, okay, so you don't like Stephen King. You don't like the standard Stephen King. If you don't like Stephen King, try The Green Mile. He's like, whatever. I'll give it a shot. And then he came back to me after he read it, and he was like, you know what? You were right. That book was amazing. The Green Mile is an underrated treasure in Stephen King's backlog. Please do yourself a favor and check this one out. But that is the end of part 1 of, assuming 3 to come, of my just flawless masterpiece books. Please do yourself a favor. If you haven't checked these out, check them out at your earliest convenience. They're so incredibly good. But that's all I've really got for you today, guys. Please feel free to drop in the comments down below whether or not you agree or disagree with my picks. Or if you want, let me know some of your choices for flawless books in the comments down below. I would love to add those to my to-be-read list, and so I can experience them as well. But again, that's all I've really got for you today, guys. So till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby. It means the world to me.